Welcome, Kingdom Power World Radio. Welcome to the studio. We are so excited today because we have a special guest that, to me, on a personal level, is an amazing person. Now, this channel is about inspiration. It's about real life, and some of the topics and the things we talk about are just earthy. It's just what's happening in real life. So, Laura Devlin, who happens to be one of my best friends in the world, but a professional in business. Now, Laura, tell me, why did you go into business? Why did you get a degree in business as a woman, international business? Why?
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is actually my first time doing this, and I was a little nervous on such a short notice, especially because I am a little more introvert than my family members are. And when I first started, I actually wanted to become a doctor, and I was going to school to become a doctor, and I wanted to be a cardiologist. So I had everything planned out, but throughout my college career, I kept finding out that it was not what I liked, and every test I was taking, it said business, business, and I would just think, no, I don't like business. But then I figured out, yes, I think it is my personality. I like the paperwork. I like working with people one-on-one. And so...
well, I got to ask you
yes.
something that's politically incorrect. So what is your nationality?
My nationality, I was actually born in Guatemala, Central America, very small town, close to an hour or 2 hours away from El Salvador. And but I just found out that my side of the one of my side of the families is Armenian and Persian, and from my dad's side they're full-on Spaniards. So
Okay.
Came to the United States when I was about 9 or 10, didn't know any English.
Wow.
And that was really hard. We ended up in LA, which was a culture shock, really.
Yeah. No, wait a second. You ended up here. You say we. So how many are in your family, or who came with you?
3 of us, my
Okay.
brother, my mom, and me.
And he's the oldest?
No, I am.
Okay, all right.
I am, and he's very very social, and I wasn't.
Okay.
It took a long time for
Okay.
me to really come out and be me.
Yeah.
But with real estate, I ended up, we used to help my mom in real estate. And when we were about 11 years old, she
Okay.
decided that she wanted to do real estate as a side job, and we would go door knocking. And it was
Really?
so hot, and it was kind of like, I will never do this, ever. I'm going to go to college, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to do this. And so I graduated high school, I surprised my mom.
Okay.
And I said, okay, sign these papers because I'm going to college. And
Okay.
so I really didn't have family support that way, but I knew that I didn't want to be stuck like a lot of kids in LA. I didn't want to be in the system. And so I ended up going to college, ended up meeting you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to move again to Riverside
Wow.
from LA, and that was a huge change because LA, I was able to find, jobs and about anything really. But when I came to the Inland Empire, it was very difficult to
Now,
find
when
jobs.
you got into it, I know that Laura and her husband used to do what people call modern today flips.
Yes.
And before you guys were even married,
Yes.
you went into, you had a home and purchased it, and you
And I know
got
John
dirty.
was doing that, and
working.
but I started seeing that here in the Inland Empire. One of the jobs or things that were being promoted was real estate, and I thought, okay, I sort of know that because I grew up in that with my mom, and I thought I'll never do this. But then I got hired as a receptionist for one of the biggest companies here in the Inland Empire, in Riverside actually, and I just learned everything in the business.
Yeah.
From there, I remember my boss called me in and said, Laura, you're one of the highest paid receptionist, and I can't pay you any more than what I'm paying you. I was getting paid $15 the hour, which is at that time, it was a lot of money for a receptionist. And so he said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I do want to go up the ladder. I don't want to stay as a receptionist. And so I started noticing the flips. I started noticing all these things. And I thought, I really like this. I ended up, they ended up moving me to the escrow department. And from there, it became really quickly. I learned the business, and eventually, to make the long story short, I became a manager of an escrow company. And I was there for a long time. I worked for title companies, for private companies. But during that time, I started noticing that real estate agents were people that at times didn't care about their clients.
Wow. Yeah.
I would have their clients cried and just say, I didn't understand this. And as an escrow officer, you had to play that neutral role, in that neutral, be compassionate, but at the same time, you really couldn't say much, and you really couldn't say anything because my business came from the realtor.
Yeah.
So I really was not able to say much, but it broke my heart because I thought, hey, real estate is not just about making money. It's about helping the people. So
when you started the thing that comes to my mind, and I've seen you go through it, so you started seeing, the hardships that people were going through.
Yes.
So that was like a choice. You had kind of like a choice to stay with it or to leave the business world and just continue with the medical field.
Yes, and it was really difficult. And that was really difficult to make that decision because at that time, I kept thinking, what am I doing here? I can make so much more money in other fields. What am I doing in real estate? And a lot of people would say, you're not cut to be a realtor because you're not a shark. You're not, you have to be a shark to make it into this mini Hollywood, and that's what I kept calling it. It became a mini Hollywood, and I've always been so shy from all that because I grew up in LA. I grew up really close to Hollywood, and you would see movie stars and things like that, and I would think, okay, big deal. It's your heart that matters. And so during that time, 2006, 2007, 2008 came, but we started seeing changes in 2006. And people acting really different. And then, of course, 2008 came, and a lot of people lost their homes. And a lot of people that lost their homes I had dealt with as an escrow officer. And it was really sad to see that. So one of my clients said, hey, why don't you, let's get together and let's start our own business. Unfortunately, that didn't transpire too much, but I had my license already, and I thought, okay, what do I do? By that time, I was hired by one of the companies that was making modifications. Here in the Inland Empire, we only had one that was hired by the government to do modifications, and I became one of their top negotiators. And during that time, I was there about 2 years. It was very stressful. We used to put up all the campaigns, and you would see it on TV where, Chase was there, Bank of America, and all of them, and we would deal with their clients. And so I really like doing that because you get to see people's, from any walk of life. People that had a lot of money that lost everything. People that had nothing and lost everything. And culture didn't matter. It didn't matter socioeconomic positions. It didn't matter.
So now that you've seen all that, and I was thinking about what you've gone through, but one of the main things that I saw during that time, and I lost my home too, and I saw that you stayed with it, and I saw some frustration there, but you got over it. What's it like to deal with someone who needs the guidance of a professional real estate agent and a coach, because you coach and you do real estate at the same time? What's it like to be with someone and from the beginning it's not going to work out, and then to be with someone who really wants to see changes and is going to use a professional realtor and a broker company, because you have an amazing broker company.
I do. And, my faith, and I've been a Christian since I was 9, and I think
faith
that
in business?
Yes, especially in real estate. I went from working, a stable job where I got paid every 30th. And it was, plus commissions because, again, I closed a lot of deals and things like that. And then I went from not making anything.
Okay.
And you think, this is real estate. And so at that time, my husband really helped me. He's been self-employed since pretty much all his life. And he would say, step out in faith.
Okay. What is it?
It is faith.
And faith in God.
In God, in Jesus Christ, that knowing that He will provide all your needs. And so I remember praying, thinking, should I make the change?
Okay.
Because I do need money to be able to help my family.
Right.
But at the same time, I grew up in a church where, you can't just say that you're a Christian and not walk the walk.
Ooh.
I was, and Christianity here in America is a little different than it is back home where I'm from.
Okay.
Our services were 4 or 5 hours long, just like your services are. And it was about fasting and praying.
Okay.
And that was such a new term, and it still is here in America, such a new term that you think, no, you have to fast and pray for guidance, for God to guide you, for God to open the doors, because there's some doors that only God can open, and there's some doors that He's the only one that can close.
And you were saying it before, but I wanted to know, along that line, what's one of the most satisfying experiences that you're having now, sticking through all of that?
Laura, and I'm glad you
all of that.
Because I went through so many brokers, and I was ready to give up about 5 years ago again. And said I had it. I had a lot of problems with jealousy and and I'm not a jealous person. I'm actually, I love to help people, and I, being a manager, I taught people the whole business back and forth, and I never kept anything to me because that wasn't done for me.
Right.
And I wanted them to succeed as well. And so I was praying. I was asking the Lord guide me because I'm working with this company.
She prays.
And, I was working for this company, and this manager was stealing my clients. I didn't know that until finally I found out she was. And at that time, I was part of this Yucaipa Soccer Association, and my boss, who is now my boss, was the president. And so one day we just started talking, and I really felt led, like, okay, this is my last shot. I have my degree in economics, and I kept thinking, I have a degree in economics, I have a degree in international business, and I have a degree in international relations, which is sort of political science. So I'm thinking, what am I doing here? I can go and work for a CEO, and I know I can make it. But as Christians, true Christians, we really have to obey the Lord, and we have to walk out in obedience. And I remember when He said, no, you're going to stay in this business because I'm going to teach you how to walk in faith on this side of your life. You know how to walk in faith on this side. I grew up in LA, in a really bad area in LA, where you see a lot of weird things. And coming from where I come from, you see a lot of weird things too. And so He goes, but you haven't experienced this. You haven't experienced walking in faith in your paycheck. And that was really difficult for me. So I went, I got hired by this guy, and he made the change. And from that day, I've never, ever in my life have felt that. And I've worked in different careers. I felt like this, just this load was taken off me. And I felt prosperity, and I'm not a prosperity gospel but I did feel that, and I have closed more deals in being and working with this broker.
So what is the name of your brokerage firm?
Reviron Realty.
What was that again?
Reviron Realty.
Okay.
And it's environment and realty in one. It's a small company. We have 2 offices, one in Yucaipa and one in Hammett.
Well, and you said small. Now, one of the things I've noticed about you, Laura, and I've known you for years, small can be a good thing because it's personal relationships. It's excellence. Your company does excellence, personal relationships.
Integrity. That's one thing that I look for in this business, because people say they have integrity and they don't. People lose that because they see a paycheck.
Oh.
They lose their integrity. They lose the part of being a human being. And I like that because my broker, Graham Holmes, I remember one day he said, you don't have to sell yourself to close a deal. And you don't hear that. And I've been in the business 17 years. You don't never hear that.
Right.
You hear brokers saying, sell, and whatever it takes. That's their word, whatever
Right.
it takes. And I'm thinking, no, not whatever it takes, because it's you too. You have to preserve yourself, your integrity, your self-love.
Right. And that's why I noticed that with the company, you guys have referrals.
Yes.
That's a real big part of your business.
Yes.
I know you do marketing and,
Yes.
and the traditional things and the referrals. What's rewarding about the relationships that you're experiencing?
And I had two that really stand out, but for me, my clients, I really like to take care of my clients as, they're your, just like a baby, where you have to really take care of them and show them and
Yeah, it's a
take your
scary
time.
process. Yeah.
It really is. Some of them is their first time. Others, I can tell you, I had one client, she was a single lady. Well, not single, she had her kids, but she went through a real horrible time in 2008. She lost her husband, she filed for bankruptcy, she lost, she had to be in the hospital, so she ended up losing her house. And then she had to file for bankruptcy. So you already have like 5 things that a lot of lenders say, we can't help her.
Right.
And really, and so we ended up, we ended up working with her, or I ended up working with her through a referral system. And to make the long story short, we were able to close and buy a house.
Wow.
And now she's referring all her friends from work to me. And she said, as a matter of fact, I remember the whole transaction took about 6 months or so. And we had placed an offer on one of the houses. It fell through.
Oh.
But that's when negotiations come in, without losing control, without losing respect for one another. And we were able to get her money back and say, okay, let's start all over again.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, she was getting calls from other agents.
No.
And they kept telling her, I can show you homes. I can help you. I can close your deal. I don't know what your agent did, but we can help you. And she turned around, and she's telling me this as we're starting to look homes again. And she goes, you know what I told him, Laura? She said, and I said, no, what did you tell him? She goes, I love my realtor because she really cares for me. She has patience, and she's taught me everything that I need to know.
Right.
She told him, I'm going to stick to my realtor.
Yes.
And, that to me was, this is what we do, because there's no loyalty in this business.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
There's no loyalty, but the only thing that you have at the end of the day is your satisfaction that you did your best job for that person. For single ladies, for elderly people, which a lot of my business is to work with elderly people, and try to get them the best that they can.
Now, the name of your broker, again.
Yes.
The name
it's
of the...
It's Reviron Realty.
And the number?
And the number is 909-991-4444.
And
so it's really easy.
Yeah.
People say, how did you get that number? It was given to me.
Give me that number again.
It really was.
Give it to me again.
909-991-4444.
And one of the things that I noticed about the whole group, your team, because your family, a broker, he treats you like family.
He really does.
I've been in flips for years, and that's how I kind of supported the ministry. And I'd buy a property, sell it. Me and my friends would put our monies together. We'd flip it, then I could do missions, and then money would run out, and you got to do it again. And you just, sold my 5 acres for me, and I missed that 5 acres, and I'm looking for another property. I'm looking for another property that we can have, a retreat at, and we can have the men's fellowship, the women's fellowship. But and all that about one of the things about your broker and working with him and the family thing. How did he end up being a caring broker?
My understanding is, and I really, that's what draw me to working with him. He comes from England.
Okay.
And he's been here, I think, since 2003.
Okay.
Apparently, he had owned a couple of businesses in England and decided to move here, but he decided that he wanted to be a realtor. So he started off as a realtor and decided that he was going to stay.
Okay.
And he's such a good manager in the sense that he understands. He'll never say, sell, sell, sell. I will never hear him say that, but he'll say, I'm here to help you. What do you need? I just had my 2-year-old. I have a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old. And that was a huge change for my business because I was go, go, go and, and working. And then suddenly, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And then not only surprise, surprise, but it was a high risk pregnancy.
Yeah.
And so I was not able to do as much. But instead of getting this broker, what are you going to do? How come you haven't closed? Or how come you haven't done this? He said, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We understand.
Wow.
And he really did, and he really means it.
Right.
So when the baby was born, I was able to take him to the office meetings.
Wow.
Even now, I go into my office and I take him, and he's fine with that.
So my thought again, I'm hearing all this, and I know I've known you for years.
Yes.
I've known your husband for years.
Yes.
So you're saying that integrity,
Yes.
honesty,
Yes.
prayer,
Yes.
and partnering with God, actually
Yes.
asking God to be that. And so that's kind of like, sounds like contract law,
Yes, it
which is going Malachi all the way from the
Yes.
Old Testament to the New Testament. You made a contract
Yes.
to give to God.
Yes.
And,
I did. And I learned that through my husband too.
Really?
Yes, because I would see that he steps out in faith every day, really.
Okay.
He's been in self-employed, like I said, for many years. And I started watching that as soon as he would write his tithing check. And I know a lot of people are against that because they think, oh, you don't want to make your pastor rich. And I'm like, no, it's not about that. It's about what the
That's for
Bible
sure.
says about giving, about following God's commandments. It's not about making somebody rich. Whatever the pastor does, that's their deal.
Right.
Of course, you have to ask the Lord what church you need to go to.
Right, right.
And I've been blessed where I come to your church, and
Thank you.
I've never really, it's been a blessing for me.
Thank you.
But he would write his check, and he was not even done writing his check, his tithing check. The phone started ringing, and it didn't matter what time. Or
Wow.
people come to the house and knock, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, you just wrote that check.
Now, wait a second, because this is
And-
empirical evidence.
Yes.
You're a businesswoman.
Yes.
You speak a few languages.
Yes, I do.
You've traveled the
Fluently,
world. You've
too.
done.
Fluently.
Yeah.
'Cause people say,
But
"Oh,
I
you
know
speak
about the
Spanish?" Yes,
mean and
fluently.
Armenian. I see that
Yeah.
cipher. That's great, though. But I've seen that you have actually not only it's come back to you, but you guys give in other ways other than money,
Yes.
which is that to me is the most amazing thing.
And we've noticed the miracle of giving. We really have. People say no, 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 and to us is your time. Sometimes
Yes.
you give your time, sometimes you give your money, sometimes you give food, sometimes you go and visit a friend that's in need.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, people are coming to my house with food.
Wow.
Maybe we're going through a really slim season,
Mm-hmm.
and people come in, oh, here, I brought you this. They didn't know our
Mhm.
situation,
Mm-hmm.
but they knock the door and they come in with boxes of food.
And I know.
And I've seen that since I was little.
Yeah.
I've seen that miracle since I was little.
And when I've seen that you've put into practice your belief,
Yes.
and you're not the kind of person that talks a lot about it. You actually do it.
No, I'm doing it now.
Right, but I ask you to, and
Yeah.
we're glad because it's so important that people know
Yes.
that it's real.
Yes, it
That you
is.
can actually pray and see results.
Yes.
What would you say, to someone out there, what would you say to someone who's going through a really tough time and they've never really asked God to be their partner? What would you say to encourage them? Just
I would say, one day my husband said, God can meet you where you're at. And that really stuck with me because sometimes we think that we need to be in this so high or, people talk about levels in this level, right? And he said, no, have him meet you where you're at and have him take your hand. Your faith may not be this huge faith in this area, but you have faith in other areas. Take that faith from those other areas and put it into this area. And when I started doing that, it's not something quickly, yes, we are in a very quickly, we need all this, But I learned to take my time and be sincere with God and say, I don't trust you on this, but I don't think it's so much you, it's just my own personal issues.
Okay.
Help me with that.
Okay.
And from there on, when I said it, I didn't have to say it in front of a pastor. I said it in my own room.
Okay.
And driving. I was real. It came from my heart. And it went away. And I said, okay, I want you to make, I would like for you to be my partner. I don't want to do it the world's way. And that was the difficult part of being in real estate. Doesn't seem like it right now, but I am very introvert. I don't like using social media. I don't like, especially because I have that background of political science, and they drilled on you about Facebook and all these things. So I'm really aware of what I put on Facebook, what I hit like, what I don't.
Right.
And I don't do any videos.
Okay.
And that's nothing like what other agents are doing. So my boss is, that's the only thing he says, well, you got to use media more. But one day I remember saying to the Lord, I would like to tailor it to me.
Yes.
You know, I don't even have my picture on my cards because I'm tired of seeing people's faces on cards. Let's do it, you know.
Right.
So I think, okay, if I'm going to send out, I'm going to send out for this.
And
I'm going to send out in the kind of service I'm going to provide.
Right. And that's what's so awesome about the production company, working with Kevin James Gonzalez and Marco, Miguel, all the teams that are here. What happens, what I've experienced, you know, as you're my real estate agent, you've helped me through some very difficult circumstances and situations in real estate. But also, you know, because we're faith-based, we have a commonality to make a win-win situation and apply the principles of Scripture. Yes. So I want to just thank you so much for not only being here, and for your husband being here, and your son being here, and, you know, being a family-based business. I thank your broker for what he's doing. And I just want you guys to make sure you get in contact with Laura Devlin.
Yes, if you ever need any help, like I said, I have 17 years, almost 18 in this business.
Yes.
I'm not in it for the money. If I was in it for the money, I think I would have left already.
Yeah, or you would have stayed in Guatemala with your properties there.
And done my properties and done coffee. That's our background. We provide coffee to Starbucks. I would have done that. But I was, as Christians, and being a Christian for a long time, you have to be obedient. You can't just walk on a gray line. It's either white or black. And I know a lot of people say, no, it's not. There's a gray area. There really isn't. Mm-hmm. If you want to take it that way, that's fine. But in my own personal experience, in my own personal beliefs, in my own personal miracles that I've seen those miracles because I established a relationship with Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, and the Father.
Yes.
And I don't go to Him just when I have troubles.
Okay.
I don't.
You're not a fair weather friend?
No.
Oh.
I make sure that I establish a relationship with Him prior to my troubles, because I know when I do have a trouble, He really does take me out of that. I've seen His protection in many situations. I lived in El Salvador for a year or so before I came to the United States, and it was right around that time El Salvador was going through their civil war. Mm-hmm. We were face to face with that. I remember we had to be shipped to a jungle area, just my brother and I. And I saw God's protection. We had to live with this uncle who we've never met. We barely saw our mother.
Right.
For, sometimes it would go weeks and weeks, and there was times we didn't have much to eat.
So you weren't born with a silver spoon?
No.
You didn't have.
I wasn't. Yes and no. Yes and no, because my dad came from this really rich family, and then you're taking out of there, and then you start going through really hard trials. Really,
well,
you went from being the daughter of to being the daughter. Who are you again? So that was a whole different.
I know there's so
Jesus
much more.
Christ.
Yes. And you stood on that. Now, also,
Yes.
I know you wanted to say hi to your brother.
I do. I do, because he does this for a living, and I never done this. So I do want to say hi, because I am proud of who he is.
And what does he do for a living?
He's a director for the Jim Bakker Show.
Yes.
And to me, Jim Bakker has been a blessing.
Yes.
He came in at the right time, at the right moment.
Yes.
And he took my brother in into his wing and help them out.
And he was very kind to us when we were
Yes.
there. He's very kind
Yes.
to me
But our
and to
prayers,
us.
because
Yes.
I know that our prayers have gone him to where he's at too.
And your brother's name
And
is?
so Armando de la Vega.
De la Vega.
De la
Yes.
Vega.
And Jim Baker. So we just, Laura, thank you for being
thank you
here
for
in the
inviting.
studio.
Thank you.
Thank you for the show. I know we'd like to have you back again
thank you.
because
I would
we want to
love
get into some more depths on what happened in your testimony. We'd like to get some more information so they can get in contact with you and get your books and get your tapes. I know you're available for special speaking engagements. You don't do it often,
Not often, but I am.
you're available for that.
Yes.
Hey, we want to thank the sponsors again.
Yes.
All you sponsors
Yes.
out there, and again, Kevin James Production Company, Marco,
Yes.
the staff, the team, thank you for helping us reach out because we're all about encouraging. We're all about, there's a lot of negativity out there and there's a lot of criticism. That's not us.
No.
We want to bring clients and real people in here that are going to empower you and help you. We want to see people go to the next level in their life.
Yes.
And we just our gift is to encourage. And Laura, thank you so
Thank you for inviting
much.
me. I enjoyed
This
it.
is
For being the
amazing.
first time, I really enjoyed
right,
it.
right. We'll do it again, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
We love you guys. Take care. See you
Bye.
next week. We'll see you again with our
Yes.
next program. And we've got something really special this next program. It's going to surprise you. We're going to bring some guys that are behind the scenes. They're going to be coming up front. And your husband's going to be on the show here real soon
Yes.
too. Yay. Bye-bye.
Bye.